The clock starts now. Oh, are we doing weed now? Yeah. Give me a minute. That was a lot. I just powered that shit. All right. There. Now, in about 10 minutes, my IQ should be about halved. Okay? So, and that's going to be necessary, okay? Because only by having my IQ will my messaging even be comprehensible to you people, all right? Let's get started. So, here's my idea, all right? Please, get ready. I'm sure I'm procrastinating, huh? It's because this is an idea that I actually care a lot about, and I've had in my head rattling for a while, okay? Here is let's procrastinate a little more. Let's blow our nose. Nice and procrastinating. You know what people like? SCP. You guys heard about SCP? Secure, Contain, Protect. I think that's what it's called. SCP, for those of you who don't know, is a website. It's a website that it's like a drama. It's theater. It's a website that's supposed to be the critical file archive of a secret government organization that is designed to find supernatural things and contain them, learn from them, or destroy them if necessary. You know? Wait, Vaush, dude, your setup is disingenuous. I literally work in the horror genre as an author. I can tell you you're wrong. A lot of horror movies do fall into that. Okay, Alia Kais, I respect you, and you're probably totally right. There are like cool, interesting things going on in the horror genre right now, but I do think you're being nitpicky as a result of personal bias. I speak hyperbolically about a lot of things that I don't like. So.
Also, Vaush is just a big baby and hates scary movies.
So
keep that in mind.
Alia Kais, I love you. I'm sure what you make is phenomenal, okay? Listen. And when you go into these SCP articles, there are like hundreds of them, thousands of them, you know. I don't actually know how many there are. But when you look at these SCP articles and you read them, what they are usually is like this a cryptically worded series of official documents that detail the nature of and procedure for containment of some kind of supernatural entity, all right? And what makes them interesting, in addition to them generally being funny, because there's usually a lot of dark humor there, and into them being scary, because there's a lot of like cosmic horror, like, oh, there's something deep beneath the earth and it takes the sacrifice of 100 virgins every day to keep it sated, but there have been close calls where they sometimes didn't get the virgins dead in time, and there was like, and that's what caused the earthquake, the 8.2 in the Richter scale, that kind of thing, you know what I mean? So it can be interesting in those ways. But what I think is most interesting about SCP is the union of the supernatural with the natural. Now you may think, oh, what a reductive point. I'm so much smarter than Vaush. He is a dumb idiot baby, blessed with nothing but his good looks and fat cock. And you may think that, and you are wrong, because there is a more poignant message here that I am now fighting against the inebriation of my brain to express. The reason why that's interesting to me is because when I think of something supernatural, I try to contextualize it in the real world. Imagine something like a ghost, okay? Or a zombie, or a specter, or like a ritual of some kind. Like, oh, like you stab someone on an obsidian plinth and their blood fills a bunch of grooves and then a rift opens to another dimension, okay? If such a thing was discovered in the real world, this would have monumentous, like, otherworldly repercussions, you know? Like, the government would be on that shit in a nanosecond. You realize that, right? Like, imagine for a moment. Like, imagine if there was a ghost in real life, okay? Real life. So, in movies, what it usually is like, there's a ghost that's haunting a house because a person died there, and the scared couple goes there, and it's spooky, and they fight with it a bit, and somebody dies, and then they heroically toss the corpse into a fire or something. Like, that's how it tends to work in the movies. But let's just imagine what would happen in real life, okay? If there was a ghost haunting a house, let's say my apartment, okay? Maybe the ghost kills me, maybe I escape claiming madly, there's a ghost, you know? Now, if I say that, one of two things can happen. Either the cops listen to me, in which case they come over here and find the ghost, or they don't, in which case I probably go to an insane asylum. And the realtors reclaim this place, and the renters, the landlords who own this place, then come here to find out that, yes, it's haunted. For real. If I, a random person, say, oh, my house is haunted, whatever, if a respected renter company says, holy shit, the voices are speaking to me, furniture is flying around, I have no natural explanation for this, they'll be taken seriously. One way or another, the cops get involved. The cops arrive, find pretty much the same thing that they heard from me. The cops, bewildered, have to make a phone call, probably to a state agent of some kind, like an investigative institution or the FBI or some shit, and the FBI come here and they realize, holy shit, something supernatural is happening here. What happens at that point? Like, I'm not joking. At that point, what do you do? Imagine if you're an agent at the FBI. I don't know what day-to-day life is like in the FBI. I have no fucking idea. But imagine that you're in the office and you hear a report and it says, with a great deal of explanation and clarification, essentially, ghosts are real. Something supernatural is happening here. Nobody has been able to explain it, and it's dangerous. What do we do? It doesn't even have to be a ghost. What if it's corpses coming back to life? What if it's non-human entities or something? What if it's possessed computers? I don't know. It could be any number of things. What if it's, to borrow from SCP, what if it's an indestructible vending machine that can produce any liquid in the universe if you just type it into the little keypad? Well, it seems to me that if that was the case, there would be an immediate and substantial institutional response to the existence of such a threat. I mean, the government has legitimately spent millions and billions of dollars on things that we consider to be science fantasy, you know? There are articles saying that the Russians experimented with dogs to try and find ways to bring corpses back to life, and that both the USSR and the United States government did research on mind control as a concept. It's not out of the realm of possibility that government agencies are willing to deal with the paranormal as a concept if they believe there is a possibility that it might in some way serve the interests of the state. So he thinks mind control is fantasy. You know what I mean. Fuck off. So the reason why I'm getting at this is because I would think it very interesting if there was more horror, more movie, more anything, just video games, movie, I don't care, that dealt with this sort of institutional interaction, okay? Very often in the supernatural stuff that happens in, like, movies, it's usually, like, you deal with it as someone who's alone and scared, because playing from the perspective of that character makes you feel more scared. Like, it's more scary to play as, like, what's his face from Silent Hill 2, because he's just a marauding dipshit, than it would to be playing Duke Nukem in Silent Hill 2. Like, imagine that. Imagine running around third person over the shoulder perspective Duke Nukem. You know, he sees, like, the nurses with the big tits and, like, the slumbering monstrosities, and he's like, got him, and he's got, like, the big gun. Like, it wouldn't make it as scary. So you play as a dispossessed agent, a dispossessed protagonist, because it feeds into the feeling of alienation and horror and weakness and loneliness that like, you know, tugs on our fear strings. The problem is, I think this can be really limiting in a lot of ways, because from a narrative perspective, there are only so many ways that you can introduce scared, dispossessed protagonist with supernatural entity that is confronted and overcome at the end. They're very limited in scope in that respect. Things usually take place in a house. A lot of horror just happens in a single fucking house, guys. Fuck me. Or like in the yard beyond it. It's very common. And there's a reason for that too, because seeing horrible things happen inside a comfy looking home can evoke the feeling of, like, the disconnect between the comfort we're supposed to experience at a comfy home and and the feelings of horror that are being sort of processed through the narrative. So I get that. But the thing is, all of these elements are being like exploited to maximize the feeling of fear that we get while watching the movie. But what if there was a movie that took it from a different perspective? What if there was a movie that played out kind of like The Raid? You know what I mean? What was that, like a South Korean, or was it like a Taiwanese film? It was like a really good film. It was like Dread, you know? And they it's like a bunch of SWAT officers in a Southeast Asian country that I'm currently forgetting because I'm a racist, and they like go into a gang infested like big business building, and they like take it down floor by floor, and it's really tactical. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about there? The Raid. Yeah, The Raid. It's what it's called. Really good movie. Really brutal, really fast paced, feels really fucking good to watch, feels really tactical, really intense, and it's like an example of a point by point government response, in that case SWAT agents, responding to a threat. What if we got something like that with horror? Imagine it. What if there was like a haunted hospital, okay? Imagine a horror setting. There's a haunted insane asylum where it had to be foreclosed because the owner went mad and started doing experiments on patients, and now it's known to be haunted and no one goes there. Imagine if like that was a thing. Like, okay, just fucking fathom it. We've all seen a fucking million video games that have this premise, right? The haunted insane asylum. It's so fucking common. Now imagine, instead of us navigating that space by being like, you're like the daughter of a guy who worked there once, and you're going there to learn about your father's past, and you have one flashlight, one flare, and one like 9mm. You know, that's what you're bringing into this. What if instead of doing that, what if the setup to a movie, The Raid is Indonesian. Thank you. What if the setup to that movie was like a police officer or something, or like a home, like a bank agent or something, coming to that place to like check it the fuck out, or like maybe if they're from the bank, they're trying to like foreclose on it, they're trying to like repossess the property or see what needs to be done, or they send an inspector to see if like the foundation is sturdy enough that they can demolish it and rebuild something new, or if they can resell it for something. And they go over there and they take a look at it, and then that person gets brutally fucking killed, or maybe just barely escapes with their life, and things get involved and things get tested, and we're like 10, 15, 20 minutes into the movie as the stakes escalate and police officers are getting maimed as they go in. People are going in, but people aren't coming out. They send a person in, like a police team with like a camera, like 6 dudes with like SWAT gear, and they send in a guy with a camera and a string tied around his stomach, and they send him in there, and they get lost, and they try to retrace their steps or whatever, but the string leads infinitely down a hallway, and the string that the people on the outside have that leads into the building gets cut off, and they pull it and there's nothing, so the string got duplicated or some weird horse shit like that. What if this shit happens in the setup, and then like the actual fucking arc of the movie is like SEAL Team 6? Literally SEAL Team 6 taking on that fucking place, okay? Like, bring out, like, tanks to surround the property, floodlights, they use, like, fucking infrared and UV sensors all over the place, because they don't know what the fuck's in there. I would delight. I would just blast. Fucking no. Someone in chat says, this is Resident Evil. No, Resident Evil is not about the entirety of the government coming down on a specific supernatural entity. That is what I want to see. I want to see, imagine how fucking sick it would be to see the tropes of horror getting deconstructed in a way that that you would like have to respond to in a physicalist sense. Like, imagine like, oh shit, there's a ghost in this room, and like frantically professionals, agents, like soldiers are trying to figure out like, fuck, does it respond to this stimuli, this stimuli, this stimuli? Meanwhile, they're like fighting it off. There's like fucking tables getting thrown around. People are having like tentacles buried into their fucking chest and like pulling out their heart and shit. They're like, fuck, okay, what do we do? Okay, here, this doesn't work. We need 10 people here. We need 6 people here. We need 6 people there. We need to establish like line of sight set up here so we can see out the window, so we confirm that our location hasn't changed because of the non-Asherian geometry inside of this building. And like, they're desperately trying to figure it out as quickly as possible to like defeat this supernatural entity that their guns just don't fucking work on. Or maybe their guns do, or maybe there's a fucking big brutish like zombie, like the fucking Resident Evil 2 hat dude. Like, oh shit, that's a fucking giant 10-foot tall muscular brute that's immune to bullets. Like, fuck me. But no, Elliot, guys, I talk to me when I'm not high. The point, watch Annihilation. Okay, yes, you're all very smart and learned, and you have things in your mind that are similar to this. Shut up. I'm coming from the perspective of someone almost entirely ignorant of horror, okay? Almost entirely ignorant, all right? Please, let me have my fun, okay? Please, let me have my fun. Let me have my idea put out there into a void. I'm a streamer. Isn't this what streaming is all about? Shouldn't I be able to just say my opinions? You're describing Arrival? No, because isn't Arrival about like aliens and shit? Yeah, no, I'm not describing Arrival. Am I not describing myself well enough? No, Arrival is about a government's response to aliens coming here, but it's not framed through this pseudo-horror supernaturalist bent. That's what I want to see. I want to see ghosts and poltergeists and fucking zombies and shit. I want to see fucking weird horror shit. Think of all of the weird irrational horror shit that happens in a horror movie. Lights will suddenly blow out, lights will flicker, room geometries will rotate, like the building would shift, you know? Think of all the stuff that happens. Think of all of it that happens in a movie, okay? Think of that. Imagine how a team of professionals would try to deal with that. Imagine. I have never seen this done in media before, okay? Vaush, please stop. Why are you... Why am I getting censored? What happened to freedom of speech? Vaush is reinventing horror with every single horror trope. Yeah, the point is to approach it from a different perspective, okay? The point is to approach all of these tropes not from the perspective of a disempowered entity that is just trying to survive, but rather from the perspective of literally the most powerful institution to have ever existed on the face of this planet. Do you know how the United States government might respond to something like that? Can you even fucking fathom? That would go up to the president in like 24 hours. Guy, there's a fucking haunted asylum and weird supernatural shit is happening. This is all real. We have evidence. Okay? Do you know how fucking far that would go in an instant? It's cringy though. Time ban. No one calls this cringe. I'm high. No tolerance. Get them out of here. Infinite time. Anyway. Can you fucking fathom? They would have the Air Force would be circling around the fucking building. There would be fucking battleships patrolling the nearby coasts with 76 fucking inch guns pointed at the arc 12 miles out so they can shell the building with fucking unban that person. I was joking, you assholes. So they lob fucking shells the size of minivans at this thing. The response would be totally fucking different to what you see in typical horror films, which are meant to disempower. Listen, here's my cringe posting, okay? The core of horror's thematic elements, the monster is what to represent. What would the monster be like? It doesn't matter. I don't care what the monster is. I care about the interaction between the monster and the very normal, naturalistic, humane elements with which humanity typically deals with threats, okay? Since time immemorial, up until maybe the past 2 centuries, human beings have sent out expeditions preparing to deal with the supernatural. There have been explorers, there have been soldiers, there have been sailors that have reached out into the beyond, thinking when we run around this hill, who knows what we might find? We might find dragons, we might find griffins, we might find fucking cannibals, we might find trolls and ogres. We don't know, so we'll prepare all the little tools and all the little powders that we were told by alchemists and priests and scholars in the past to deal with this. The problem is, none of these people ever encountered anything supernatural. Some of them encountered things that may have seemed pretty supernatural at the time, but all of them fit within our pre-existing, our current understanding of how physical reality functions, okay? But I want something beyond that, okay? I want something cooler than that, all right? I want to see... Fuck, can you not fathom what it would be like to see a team of like SEAL Team 6 professionals who are introduced and characterized in the beginning of the movie, like fucking 8 dudes or something, with fucking military support outside, trying to take down a haunted house floor by floor? Can you fucking imagine how cool that would be? Holy shit. Yeah, Gate, the anime, is about this. The problem is that Gate, the anime, is really fucking terrible and bad and shit. Also, it's not horror themed. Oh, fucking God. It'd be so fucking sick. Listen, I'm going to cringe post for a second, okay? This is my cringe posting, all right? I have had, for the longest time, and by for the longest time, I mean for the entirety of the existence of the franchise, so what you want is aliens, but with ghosts? I'm going to fucking kill myself. No. Alien. Well, for one, Aliens is an action movie. If you meant Alien, then no, Alien with a ghost would just be a horror movie. I'm not talking about what the fuck. How? Oh wait, maybe they did mean Aliens. Aliens. Yeah, Aliens had like 6 beefy dudes trying to clear out a building or not a building. Sorry, a ship filled with the fucking with the fucking xenomorphs in them, okay? But it was still approached like a horror movie. It wasn't, I guess it's close, okay? I'll give you some credit. That's closer to what I'm thinking. Aliens. They're fucking with you because you care so much about art and you sound like you're having a political rant. I care so much about art, guys. Listen. Let me cringe post, okay? Let me fucking cringe post, okay? Listen the fuck up, okay? I've always liked Five Nights at Freddy's. I understand, fan base full of 13-year-olds, cringy, Markiplier, leafy, fucking React videos. I get it. I totally get it. But narratively, I'm not narratively, but thematically, Five Nights at Freddy's is really interesting to me. This was said by Yahtzee in his video, his game review of it, that Five Nights at Freddy's evokes the logic of a dream. In a lot of ways, that you just kind of like sit there and wait for something horrid to come. I don't play Five Nights at Freddy's, mind you. I'm not interested in playing it. I get scared too easily. I'm a big baby. But I watch other people play it. I like Markiplier. He's very handsome. And he's got a nice voice. Anyway, and I watch it, and I like that. But I'm interested in for those of you who don't know, Five Nights at Freddy is a somehow very commercialized series of games where you, from a stationary position, operate security controls in an effort to prevent you from being attacked and killed by a collection of haunted animatronics, like Chuck E. Cheese sort of animatronics, That's sort of the premise of the game. Whatever the case is, from a I've seen The Thing before. Whatever the case is, the basically Vaush wants Ghostbusters played straight. Yeah, except the Ghostbusters had proton packs, which are in and of themselves, at least from our perspective, supernatural. I would want the Ghostbusters, except the Ghostbusters are armed with flashbangs and smelling salts and fuck ton of, and they've got like a bunch of different holy books with them because they don't know which religion is real, and maybe this one will have the right take on how to kill a ghost. He reads the YouTube chat only sometimes. I keep getting distracted. Anyway, there's something about how Five Nights at Freddy's presents itself that I think is... Vaush, have you looked into SCP? Because, Waro, that's how I opened up this discussion 10 minutes ago. Whatever the case is. I thought you looked at me. There's something about Five Nights at Freddy's that I find very compelling. It's not just how the story is presented, and it's not just the art direction, which is pretty good, at least in the first Five Nights at Freddy's game. It's pretty good, the art direction. The real reason that I'm compelled by it is because when I watch it played, I have a feeling that that the supernatural elements in that universe are colliding with the natural elements in a very coherent way. Like usually you deal with their presence using the same tools that a regular human being would have. A flashlight or some conventional security controls or like cameras. You don't have like an anti-supernatural gun, or you don't have a mechanic to fight back where you like flash them in the light or you lead them towards like an oven to burn themselves or whatever. That stuff doesn't really exist. All the ways you deal with them are very conventional, and you never really beat them. You just kind of survive the experience. And I think that's really neat. I think it's really neat to observe an interaction between a supernatural and natural element without any sort of extraneous mysticism used to resolve the conflict. I want to see it done entirely within the purview of the tools that we might have. The reason why I say this is posting cringe, guys, did you think I said I was posting cringe when I said that I was a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's? That wasn't the cringe. The real cringe is that I wrote Five Nights at Freddy's fan fiction. I'm going to hear that the next time I come in the kill stream. I'm sharing it with you because I trust you, okay? Yeah. Yeah, chat. Yeah, bring it in. Yeah, I love your hate. Feed me. Yes. Cancel me. Judge it. The fan fiction was meant to be a really deeply unsettling horror thriller setting setting. What the fuck am I saying? It was meant to be presented in that way, genre wise. And the gist of it was that the security guard is just there, and they're there in the night, and they're just trying to survive or whatever. But they've called for the help of the police. Okay, so the initial description is that the security guard is sitting there, like they're like sweating. I think that this particular setting I used was Five Nights at 2. This was official branded Five Nights at Freddy's content. But it was something like they were sitting there like perfectly still, and they were trembling with fear, trying to like manage all the shit they have to do, and they like need to like piss abominably badly. I remember describing that, something like they've needed to piss for the past 4 or 5 hours, but they know if they get up it's their death, so they just sit there like trembling with discomfort. It was meant to evoke like a very visceral feeling, not a kink at all. A very visceral feeling of discomfort in whoever was reading it, which I never ended up publishing. But whatever the case is, they call the police. The police are immediately killed when they enter the building because haunted animatronics, blah blah blah. So then, having heard from the radio report of the surviving officer, that police station calls in SWAT, being informed that whatever there is in there, there's something extremely dangerous that killed officers and didn't seem to be vulnerable to bullets or something like that. Like, it's not known what's going on. So the fan fiction there was like a point-by-point breakdown of the security guy getting rescued by the SWAT team, and the SWAT team being really fucking intelligent in how they approached it. So stuff like detailing like floodlights being used to surround the building, like windows being blown out from the beginning, like setup lights. Have you ever seen like the cool movies? And like sometimes when the police are doing a raid, or when the FBI or the SWAT are doing work, they come with these like lights. There are guys in the back, and they set them up, and they just flood a room with light. You know what I mean? They're like handheld like power stadium lights, and they bring them in. They do it room by room, and they like initially they go in there and they rescue the guy, you know, and they have their fucking weapons. I mean, they've got automatic and, you know, shotgun because it's a SWAT team, and they go in there and they just fucking decimate the animatronics, you know, like the animatronics still kill by like physically approaching, right? So you mow them down with dozens, hundreds of bullets, and they get the security guy, but oh fuck, now the ghosts are out. You know what I mean? Because there are ghosts in the bodies of the original Five Nights at Freddy's dudes, and then there's also the puppet who's like, okay, we get into the nitty gritty, but the point is that, and I'm not joking about any of this, okay? The point is that the premise of the story is that the SWAT team is trying to navigate a space that doesn't conform to the rules of logic that we existed in previously. You know what I mean? Initially their conventional tools work fine. Guns will destroy an animatronic, I assume. I've never done it. But then they contend with more problems. The building's geometry is unstable and uncertain. They see like posters flashing on the wall, images changing, visual hallucinations, noises seemingly coming from nowhere. And then Golden Freddy like kills without even having a body, right? So like, I don't know. And creepy shit like that. And that was what I wrote. I never finished it because I have no discipline whatsoever, and also because if I had published that, I might have published it under the name Vaush. There's a low probability that would have been the name that I used, and if I did that, I couldn't have used it on this because I'm not getting that association right off the bat. Okay, that I've done Five Nights at Freddy's fan fiction. That's something that I say for when I'm repping like 1K viewers every time I stream. Okay, that's where I need to be before I can do that. Yeah. Vaush is gonna lose subscriber. You're describing Shrek 2. Wait, no. If I finish this fan fiction, I'm posting it for everyone, so you can upvote it to the top of whatever a fucking archive of your own. Okay?
Also get higher.
No.
Why?
Snot stream? Fuck off. I'm just sniffly. Anyway, I've really desperately wanted to see something like that for a really, really long time now. Like a really, really long time. All of you in chat, oh, well, they made this, they made that. No, no movie, no piece of media that presently exists is going to meet the standards that I have for this particular concept. I could probably unironically write like a short story of that function in like 6 hours or something, but that's 6 hours that I don't have doing work. And I really need money right now. So I think I'm going to not. At least not until I move. Anyway. Lost, Reign of Fire, and Stranger Things. No, God, if you think that Stranger Things is anything like what I'm describing right now, then I'm not doing a good enough job communicating my ideas. Stranger Thing is about a bunch of kids dealing with a supernatural thing, yes, and then it goes into the government dealing with it, but the story isn't about a tactical point-by-point breakdown of a specific location dealing with horror tropes as they may. It's more like finding a separate dimension, you know? Like, that's the only contention there. They aren't putting apart horror tropes, they're not dismantling those. It's just a dimension that they, like, found, you know? I think a lot of people are just poking at you. Fuck them, whatever. Is there jump scares? Like in the movie that I would think of? No, I wouldn't want there to be jump scares, right? You know? I want, What
is that?
It's a fucking motorcycle.
Are we dying?
No, I want that person dead. Anyway. Metro Last Light is great. Metro Last Light! Actually, the Metro series does have a veneer of, like, supernaturalism over it, but it's not really about dealing with the supernatural. Most of the shit you deal with is nothing. I can't. Well, you're all triggering me so fucking hard. I can't look at chat. All of you are wrong and bad. Okay, bro, this is literally Mario Kart.